Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Finally, we're going to be cooking some yummy stuffed peppers. And actually, they're quite easy. We're going to use tricolor peppers, but you can use any bell peppers that you like. And then we're going to use some ground beef. I'm using a half a pound of ground beef for 3 stuffed peppers, just to give you an idea. We're also going to use some chopped onion. It's about a half of a cup, depending on your taste. We're also going to use a splash and a cup or so of sauce. I made this sauce in a recipe earlier. I'll link it in the description box down below. And then some leftover white rice. Of course, you can opt out to do brown rice if you want to. But the white rice is how traditionally my dad always made it. I am, however, going to make it a little different than him. So I wanted to show you 2 things. First of all, I'm cutting these peppers in half long ways, which is also different than my dad used to do. My dad used to cut the tops off peppers and stuff them down that way. And I'll tell you, this is why I'm making them differently than him. First of all, I wanted to show you that I actually snapped the stem off of that, so it's kind of a big hole, but I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that with aluminum foil. In case that's something that you come across, I wanted to show you how to fix it. So I'm just cutting these peppers in half, and I'm taking out the ribs and the seed. I'm going to use the remaining pieces that are left over for our sauce that we made the other day. But I wanted to just share with you guys that when my dad used to make these, and it's an option for you guys, he used to take the cooked rice, the raw beef, and the raw onions, and he would stuff them down like a whole bell pepper. He would just shave off whatever little nubs of the bottom he needed so they stood up straight, and then he would stuff the raw the raw eggs, the raw ground beef and rice mixture, and then cook it low, and not low and slow, but for a long time, because he used to like the pepper to be really tender. I like a firmer pepper, so that's why I'm cooking them this way. And I'm pre-cooking my mixture because I didn't want to, like I said, I like a really firm, not almost raw pepper, but definitely not cooked soft the way he used to do it. Okay. What you're going to do, as you saw there, we preheat the oven for 350 degrees while we prep our peppers and talk to my husband. Doing an awful lot of talking today. But I'm just cutting them, like I said, long ways, and then we're saving those extra pieces to add to the sauce. All right, you want to make sure you remove the ribs and the seeds, and the stems are okay. Just cut through the stems. Leaving the stems are okay. You won't eat the stems, but it will help hold the insides together. Okay. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to chop your onion. Now, traditionally, my dad never seasoned these beyond salt and pepper and onion, but that is entirely up to you. If you wanted to add any seasonings to the ground beef, if you like to add garlic or any of the Italian seasonings, if you want to take it in that direction, just a little splash of sauce was enough. And you can see there where I chopped the onion. You know, you go a couple of strokes parallel to the cutting board, and then perpendicular to the cutting board. You basically go, how do I say it? You go with the equator, and then you go longitude and latitude. That's how you chop an onion. All right, and then I'm just going to throw it in the bowl with the raw beef, and then actually, like I said, I'm not even going to season it here. Then I'm going to go and throw it right into the frying pan. This is a very, very lean beef, so I'm going to add a little olive oil to the bottom of the frying pan. But if you're using an 80% or 87% or 85%, any more fat in your meat, you really don't need to grease your frying pan. All right, like I said, this is a 97% lean chopped meat, so there's very, very little oil in it to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead and add some, just a drizzle of olive oil just to help it along, okay? You see, not even a ton. I think it's probably if I poured it into a thing, it'd probably be like a tablespoon and a half. And now raw beef, raw onions goes right in the pan, okay? And then I have, my sister told me the name of this thing. She calls it a spatulator. I just got it from Betty Crocker. It was called a meat chopper, but a spatulator is now my new favorite word. So you grab your spatulator, which just breaks up the ground beef as you're browning it. And I'm just going to let it go for a little bit, okay? let it do its magic. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, when my dad makes this, or my dad used to make this, rest his soul, this raw beef with the cooked rice and the raw onions would go directly into the stuffed pepper, and it would cook in the oven over the course of some time. We're pre-cooking them. Again, we like a firmer pepper, and this makes it go much faster when you pre-cook the meat. All right? So much for the spatulator, right? So you just want to get it to brown. You don't want it to be too cooked because it's going to continue to cook in the oven as well. I just want to get the onions just a tiny bit, like just sweating, just a tiny bit of softness on the onions. They're not going to be totally translucent before we go ahead and add the rice. All right? So now how much rice? Okay, that depends on your budget, as my dad would say. If it was a time in the month or the time he was making this where we actually had more rice than meat, the rice would be used to stretch the meal further. If there was times where we actually had more meat, then of course it would be more meat and less rice. It doesn't even have to be rice. It just always has been traditionally in my family. All right? The same thing with the onions. You don't want it to be overpowered with onions, but peppers and onions go so well together that it would be okay if you added more onions to stretch your meal. Say you wanted to go lower carb and you didn't want to have any rice at all, you could just do onions, even though there's carbs in onions, and carbs in peppers, but it's still less carbs than adding rice to it as well. All right. So like I said, I'm not going to cook them too long. That's really it. Lowered it to low medium, and now how much rice you're going to put in. Now, you know, when you have leftover rice, my dad used to love to get like the extra rice from the Chinese restaurant and use that. If we had leftover rice, he would definitely make stuffed peppers or stuffed cabbage the next day. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding a little heat to it, getting a tiny bit of toast on it, breaking it up, and then we're going to add a little bit of water. First we're going to add a little bit of sauce. So this is just 2 ladles full. It's probably about a quarter cup, half cup. That depends on how much you add. Like I said, this is a half a pound of ground beef with about a half a cup of chopped onion and about a cup of rice. And I used about 3/4 of a cup of sauce. And now I'm just going to add some water. And then the reason we add water is it's going to reconstitute the rice. The rice is really going to soak up some moisture, which is going to add flavor. But I'm also kind of deglazing the bottom of the pan with water as well. All right? Now, how much sauce you put in is entirely up to you. Again, how saucy you want it. But we're going to add sauce to the top after we bake it. So I'll show you that in a little bit. Okay? So once you have it all finely incorporated, again, we didn't overcook the onions, we didn't overcook the meat. It's just done. Again, because it's gonna cook in the oven a little bit. Now you can add cheese to this if you want, or cheese on top of it if you want. We never did, we never have, so I won't. But that's just another option for you guys if you almost wanted to make like a stuffed pepper parmesan. That would be really nice as well. All right. So now I'm just going to take it off the stove and I'm going to let it cool in the pan just so I can handle it. It's not going to get cold. It's just going to get a little cooler so that if it falls on my fingers, I won't burn it myself. So you guys know that I've been trying to teach you that whenever you're cooking something, you taste along the way to see how you can adjust your seasonings. So Jim is actually tasting this for me for saltiness, for pepperiness. Do I need to add more sauce? Do I need to add more salt? What does it need exactly? And he actually said it's a tiny bit bland, is what he actually said. And I was like, oh, surprising. So I went ahead and I added salt and pepper, just a little bit, mix it around. And then after tasting it again, I realized that maybe we'll do a complexity layer. So what we have in here is some raw onion, some fresh onion. So what I decided to add was some minced onion, dried minced onion. So now you guys know with herbs and spices, when you dry them, the flavor becomes more concentrated. So what this is going to do is give another layer of onion. So I'll have the fresh onion there as well as the minced onion. as well. And that I think would, he said, was just enough. Perfect. All right, and clean up my stove, make a mess, clean it up. All right, and then I think that once I give it another second, it's ready to go to the table. And now we're just gonna let it cool off for a little bit. Like I said, I went ahead and I made my meatballs while I was waiting for this to cool off. All right. But here's what I did. I took that pepper that was broken and I wrapped it in aluminum foil. The reason I did this was so that the stuffing doesn't come out. But that is just an option. And it's also an option if your peppers don't want to lay flat, if they want to keep rolling over. You can go ahead and nest them in aluminum foil or make aluminum foil rings for them to sit in as well. You can also sit them on a muffin tin. If you have a very obstinate peppers, you can go ahead and rest them on top of muffin tins if you want to. Just another option. But I just have this cute little baking dish, and I'm trying to divide the meat evenly between all three of them. Like I said, this is only a half a pound of ground beef. Then I just take whatever little is left over, and I'm trying to just overstuff. I do like a little bit of a mound meat on there, especially when the onions start to cook down. The meat will shrink down a little bit. And basically, Jim just said, you could stop and I'll just eat the rest out of the pan. And he did. So I'm sorry it's so shaky. Jim is trying to work the camera. He's getting his camera skills down. But what he's doing here is we're adding sauce. So this just cooked for 20 minutes. And then we're going to add a little sauce on the top of each one of them, a little reserved sauce we had left over. And then we're going to bake it for another 10 minutes. So the first time you put them in the oven, you want it for 20 minutes, and then you want to sauce them for 10 minutes more. And then when it's all done, they are absolutely delicious. Like I said, you could add cheese if you wanted to. You can serve these with more rice on the side, however you feel like you want to serve them. I just like them as is. I think they're a complete meal. There's vegetables, there's starch, there's protein. It's a complete meal. So that's it, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you try it, please let me know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this recipe with friends and family, anybody who might be interested in learning how to make quick and easy stuffed peppers. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And don't forget to check out the vlog channel. I think we might be moving the cooking videos over there in the future, so you might want to go ahead and subscribe to that if you enjoy the cooking videos. And as always, you take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye!